You know that feeling when everything just clicks? Your mind is sharp, your mood is steady, your body feels like it's firing on all cylinders. That's not luck, that's what your body is capable of every single day. Now, I've looked into a lot of fish oil supplements, and honestly, most of them are mystery sourced, overprocessed, blasted with heat, and packed with synthetic add-ins. But this one is different. Omega-3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health starts with wild Alaskan salmon and cod, sustainably caught from some of the cleanest waters on the planet, and then it's processed at low temperatures to preserve what actually matters. We're talking about real omega-3s, naturally occurring vitamins A and D, and pro-resolving mediators, or PRMs, that help your body balance its own immune response. What does that mean for you? Clearer thinking, more stable mood, and real nature-based support for your heart and immune system. No shortcuts, no synthetic nonsense. And it was developed by Dr. Jeffrey Bland, a true pioneer in the world of complementary health. If you want to feel the difference, go to bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman and use code Hoffman for 20% off site-wide. Once you feel it, you'll know. Welcome to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. It's our weekly Q&A, and with us today is Leyla Uden, who is our resident nutritionist, hence we call it Q&A with Leyla, logically enough. And the Q part, you get to send us questions or comments. They are directed to questions@drhoffman.net. That's .net.com, because drhoffman.com is our website, and we've created a special email for questions or comments, and we welcome those because they are fodder for our discussions every week on Q&A with Leyla. So how you doing, Leyla?
Oh, okay, Dr. Hoffman, how are you?
Good. I'm in the midst.
The heat wave.
Yeah, well, got past the heat wave, and it's pleasantly cool here. I took a bike ride this morning. And I actually had to wear long sleeves because it was a little cooler.
Yeah.
So it was kind of welcome. And, we're getting a nice north wind, a little cooler Canadian air.
Yeah.
And, I have to say that this week I'm in the midst of soccer mania, or as the Europeans refer to it, football. It's hard for me to give the notion that football is, the NFL, and that we still call it soccer over here.
Yeah.
But and I have last night's soccer hat here.
Oh,
as you can see, it's got the stars and stripes, but it also has the Belgian flag.
Oh, okay.
Because one of our family members is Belgian. So, and he's a big Belgian soccer fan, and it turns out I'm half Belgian. Okay, so my mother was Belgian, so it was a win-win for me. I mean, I was disappointed to see the Americans go out of the competition, but it is what it is. I mean, American soccer is coming along, made a lot of strides, but the traditional soccer powerhouses of Latin America and Europe, they still are, pretty formidable. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, it's the whole country, instead of kids, at the baseball diamond or, getting football helmets, they're kicking around a soccer ball, and so the 30 some odd members of the national teams are the creme de la creme from a whole population. And, from a culture that lives and breathes soccer. So, until we reach that, but it's been good because I think a lot of Americans have gotten excited about soccer. I have, and ordinarily, I watch a soccer game and I go, this is kind of boring. It's a bunch of guys like running around, kicking the ball. But I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get why people, have been bitten by the soccer bug. And I may not, watch soccer for the next 4 years until the next World Cup. But yeah, I mean, it's fun.
I think in terms of equipment, especially when it comes to school sports, you don't need what you need in football or baseball or any of that. So
it's pretty minimal.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
You don't need all the stuff.
And
you
the,
can just
the
go out
worst
and kick around a ball.
is, God forbid, you should have a kid who wants to go out for ice hockey. Like the ice hockey stadium rentals, plus the equipment, the padding, the helmets, the jerseys, run you big bucks. And then you got to become, an ice hockey dad or mom and shuttle the kid, back and forth to the nearest hockey rink, which could be, 45 minutes away.
Right.
And it can be, so, moms, don't let your kids grow up to be ice hockey players.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, to paraphrase the song. Okay, so good stuff. Anything in the news that you found particularly exciting this week? It's been a little bit of a slow news week. It's a holiday week, yeah.
It's a holiday week more than anything. I think a lot of people enjoying their barbecues and all of that. All of those smells around the neighborhood, whether out east or in here in New York. That's been, it's been kind of quiet otherwise.
This week in the newsletter, apropos of the heat, I talk a little bit about why Europeans disdain air conditioning and, some cultural attitudes that get in the way of that. And I may have discussed that last week on Q&A with Leyla, but also some of the humans' adaptations to the heat. And, it turns out that we are descended from hairy apes, and we are less hairy to enable evaporation of the perspiration. We actually have many times more sweat glands than monkeys and apes have, so that we are designed to sweat and to really have good air conditioning systems. The shape of our noses actually has an impact on that. And, having like a broad nasal, like a flat nasal, like many Africans have, is kind of like having a natural breathe right nasal strip.
Yes.
Yeah. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Okay.
So we could get to questions here.
Okay. So we'll let us mention once again, questions at drhoffman.net is the place to send questions. So let's start with a question. Let's do that.
Yeah. This comes from Marina. What do you think I have at the bottom back of my head, Dr. Hoffman?
The bottom back of my what?
My head.
My head. Well, this is why, telemedicine at least affords the opportunity to, people can like turn around and they can hold their iPhone or their tablet to the back of their head, and then, you can actually get a consultation long distance. But to just describe it in words, dermatologists have a wonderful vocabulary for describing the different types of skin lesions, like this is a, maculopapular, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So I don't really know what we're dealing with. And it would be helpful to get a diagnosis at least, and then one can then either approach it, with medicine, or one can approach it with a more natural approach. But so this is just the back of the head, you're saying?
Yeah. Marina says, it does itch, and I try to refrain from scratching. There are scaly, bumpy areas. I've had it for over a year. I don't know if it's eczema or psoriasis. I feel slight elevated bumps, so I'm sure it's some kind of dermatitis, but I wish I knew what I could take for it. I will be seeing a dermatologist, but, I'm not sure if they're only going to address it by giving me medication, or will they actually let me know what causes it so I could stop whatever is creating it. I much appreciate some insight in any supplements you might recommend that might assist. Maybe it's a B12 topical that you talked about when it comes to itching, or something else.
Well, in integrative dermatology, we take a whole body approach to skin problems, and skin problems can be related to diet, a
Yeah.
preponderance of pro-inflammatory foods can result in skin conditions. And going on an anti-inflammatory diet, or sometimes an oligo and an oligo diet, in other words, like a smaller number of foods, or paleo
Yeah.
diet, an elimination diet. In fact, that's a fancy word for elimination diet. You can say, well, gee, when I don't eat dairy, or when I don't eat wheat, my skin improves.
Yeah.
And that does not necessarily come out of a dermatologist's diagnosis.
True.
So sometimes a trial of a paleo diet can be helpful for any number of skin problems, ranging from eczema to psoriasis. So there's also the possibility of some kind of fungal infection.
Yeah.
That can be treated topically, but also it's important to be on a low sugar diet.
True.
These are some of some of the supplements that are generally good for skin include obviously vitamin D.
Yes. Yes. Borage oil is good. Vitamin C and zinc as well. I just wanted to maybe see if Marina would rule out one specific thing. I remember a period of time, this was many years ago, I'd gotten some shampoo that was called Smooth and Sleek.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are different things like volumizing
Sure.
and for straight hair. And
By
this
virtue of
was
the
called,
location,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was called Smooth and Sleek. And I used it and I couldn't understand why I was itching. And I said, well, what did I change? I changed my shampoo. So I got rid of that. And lo and behold, the itching went
Yeah.
away.
Because
So,
there are sometimes caustic ingredients, or
yeah.
allergenic ingredients.
Yeah.
And so sometimes getting to something real simple for hair hygiene and
Right,
yeah.
right. So, yeah, do see the dermatologist, but think about what have you changed? What about your laundry detergent?
Oh,
Because
that too.
your sheets, your pillowcases, all
Right.
of that,
Either
right?
your
Your
collars of your
shampoo,
shirts or something like that. Yeah.
conditioners, your soaps, your body
hmm
wash,
hmm
all of that kind of thing, your personal grooming products,
Yeah.
even all
Yeah.
of that,
Yeah.
all of that might be something
So,
to look at. But
okay. So suppose she sees the dermatologist and the dermatologist says it's this or it's that or the other thing. Would it still
yeah,
pay to see a medical nutritionist?
oh, absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely. Because oftentimes, if it is something like eczema, psoriasis, a diet can indeed make a difference. Wheat
hmm
and dairy being the culprits, gluten and dairy
hmm
specifically being the culprits. It could be some other things as well, but it's important to be able to investigate that in a guided way with a medical nutritionist.
In
That would,
principle, many of the medications that are used for skin problems suppress
mhm,
the immune system, like
yeah,
steroid creams. But also,
mhm,
even now for eczema, they have very powerful immunosuppressive monoclonal antibodies that
yeah,
can be effective, but they suppress your immune system. You get weird problems like fungal infections and tuberculosis and weird stuff like that. And you're
yeah,
rendered a little immunocompromised, a lot
right,
immunocompromised, in fact. And so, then the question is, well, let's get to root cause. What is causing your immune system to have a exuberant response that's manifested in your skin? And
yeah,
that may be a dietary factor. It may be a microbiome imbalance. It may be
right,
not a surface infection with fungus on your skin, but in your gut that may
mm,
cause, the so-called yeast
that may be
connection
causing.
candida,
Yes,
and that,
yes, especially if it's something like eczema. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So, you know, that's why I think there should be more integrative dermatologists. They're very few and far between.
that's true.
Uh, but,
That's true.
among the things that are good topically,
Hmm.
certainly coconut oil has a soothing effect. I
Absolutely.
also could make a case for topical B12 in some cases, because the
Hmm.
thought is that with some skin conditions, we talk about nitric oxide a lot. Well, the nitric oxide uh, gets overexpressed sometimes in skin and causes like an exuberant reaction.
Yeah.
Normally, nitric oxide is good for skin, but over
Hmm.
when you
Hmm.
have an inflammatory condition, too much nitric oxide.
Yeah.
B12, it turns out, and
Hmm.
there's some B12 formulas. Just Google B12 for skin conditions. I think more integrative dermatologists, or dermatologists who are more open-minded, could selectively apply that. I mean, I'm sure it's not a panacea for every kind of skin condition, but
Right.
for certain
Right.
skin conditions where there's inflammation,
Hmm.
it might help to tame the inflammation, and that might be a
Yeah,
good natural approach.
yeah. Another thing that Marina might try, although I would recommend she do it with supervision, is a detox. Things that are showing up on our skin is kind of telling us a little story about our livers to
Hmm.
some degree.
Sure.
And maybe a gentle cleanse might be what's in order. Maybe there's been overindulgence or exposure to toxins or anything like that. Maybe a little gentle detoxification might render some benefit on quieting all of that to see. Because in a detox, you're also doing an elimination diet,
Yeah.
not just cleaning the liver with things like red clover or dandelion or other things
Yeah, and
and
I
so
think that
forth.
the
But
skin is a sentinel for what's happening in the rest of your body.
yeah,
If you see somebody with terrible skin, it's not
yeah,
just a skin problem. It may be a reflection of some internal imbalance. And that's why
yes.
just applying a topical, if you have acne, just saying, oh, let's put some antibiotic on there or, something like that.
Hmm.
We're not dealing with maybe there's a root cause that more profoundly affects your internal organs and
Yeah.
ultimately can affect your health in general.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So all of that is worth investigation. And of course, do see the dermatologist so you get a proper diagnosis, so you know what you're dealing with,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Good point
okay.
at which to pause because we want to allow one of our
Mhm.
sponsors an opportunity to strut their stuff and share some information about one of their innovative products. So here it goes. Please listen up. You know that feeling when everything just clicks? Your mind is sharp, your mood is steady, your body feels like it's firing on all cylinders. That's not luck, that's what your body is capable of every single day. Now, I've looked into a lot of fish oil supplements, and honestly, most of them are mystery sourced, overprocessed, blasted with heat, and packed with synthetic add ins. But this one is different. Omega 3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health starts with wild Alaskan salmon and cod, sustainably caught from some of the cleanest waters on the planet, and then it's processed at low temperatures to preserve what actually matters. We're talking about real omega 3s, naturally occurring vitamins A and D, and pro resolving mediators or PRMs that help your body balance its own immune response. What does that mean for you? Clearer thinking, more stable mood, and real nature based support for your heart and immune system. No shortcuts, no synthetic nonsense. And it was developed by Dr. Jeffrey Bland, a true pioneer in the world of complementary health. If you want to feel the difference, go to bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman and use code Hoffman for 20% off site wide. Once you feel it, you'll know.
Kids don't just bring home homework, they bring home germs. And those germs don't just stay with them, they spread to the whole household. That's why Clear Nasal Spray was created by a practicing physician to give parents and grandparents peace of mind. You may not think about it, but your nose is filtering out a semi-truck full of air every single day. Clear isn't just another spray. It creates an additional layer of protection in your nose that blocks bacteria and viruses before they can even take hold. Yes, even that virus. Supporting your body's defenses right where germs first try to enter. Clear is a hygiene product recommended for daily use, drug-free, non-drowsy, and safe for all ages. Just a quick spray in the morning and evening helps you cleanse your nose. Don't just hope for protection, create it. Get Clear Nasal Spray, your daily defense. Clear Nasal Spray is available at retailers nationwide and online. Check out clear.com for our special offers. That's xlear.com.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting our sponsors because, it's dual benefit because you get the benefit of the products and you'll also thereby help to underwrite intelligent medicine, show our sponsors that we are an effective vehicle for getting the word out about their
Hmm.
products. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. We've got an email here from Iton. Dear Leyla and Dr. Hoffman, I've been taking a homeopathic product that has human growth hormone in it, human growth hormone 30X. And what has been happening is that my cholesterol went up. It went up to 250. The LDL was 175. I researched and I found out that this supplement in homeopathic form can actually do that. So my doctor advised that I stop it for 6 weeks and retest. Sure enough, both markers dropped down back to normal. But I have to say that using this product did improve my sleep by over 70% over a 4-month period. What do you think?
Well,
Human growth hormone.
okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Human growth hormone, when administered medically, is administered in shots.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take that material and you dilute it, and
Right.
I know precisely how diluted it is because it is a 30x dilution. That means it's been diluted 30 times.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's been taking 2 sprays under the tongue.
So that's an infinitesimal amount of growth hormone is going under his tongue. Now, under the theory of homeopathy, it's not so much the material amount that you're getting, it's the energetics of the material that has somehow been imparted in a way that is not really well understood by modern laws of chemistry and physics to impart an effect. Okay? I kind of take a dim view of that. I am not sure that that product is delivering any material amount of growth hormone. Okay? And so the fact that his cholesterol went up, I think could be a coincidence. I think it could be coincidence. Although it seems like a pretty strong effect. And then he says, when I was taking it, my sleep got better 70%. Well, I would like to test that product against a placebo because there's a big placebo effect when it comes to products that are designed to improve your mood or improve your sleep. You know, these are kind of subjective things, right?
Yes.
It's not like, I mean, a cholesterol number is a number. You know, it's an objective number. So that, I don't think that's the placebo effect because, you know, try as you might, you can't raise or lower your cholesterol by belief, right?
Yeah.
So something's going on there. However, that might just be a coincidence because I don't have a faith that this product is doing a heck of a lot. Now, let's suppose that this product, you know, was the equivalent, and I'm not sure if you really want to take growth hormone, just take growth hormone shots. They're expensive. They're not, you know, it's hard to get them because, you know, they're quasi-legal. You know, after the sports doping scandals, it's, you know, it's kind of in a gray zone. But, you know, like bodybuilders and some athletes take growth hormone, you know, and they do it. Why do they do it? They do it to basically build muscle because there's no question that it's a growth hormone. It builds muscle. It also, it actually makes your organs larger, your liver, your kidneys. It even, you know, even after you've stopped growing, your hat size may increase because it actually makes your bones grow past the point after puberty when your bones stop growing.
Wow.
Okay. So, there are side effects to that.
Yeah.
One of which is that, you know, it proliferates everything in your body so that, you know, you look great. I mean, you look really shredded. This is great for bodybuilding competitions. But if you don't use it properly, you can get arthritis because it'll actually cause your synovial membranes to overgrow. It actually promotes the growth. So it in fact mimics some of the effects of rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow.
So that's not a great side effect.
No.
So here's the other thing. Just keep in mind that you want to take growth hormone. It was touted in the 90s as like anti-aging, rejuvenative, all that good stuff. Because, right? I mean, the logic is that as we grow older, our growth hormone declines. So let's maintain our growth hormone throughout our lives, and we will have these wonderful regenerative capabilities that young people have when they have high levels of growth hormone. And we'll do all this wonderful repair in the body. Well, here's the thing. There's an animal model for genetic insufficiency of growth hormone production. There's like a knockout gene that prevents mice who are specially bred. They have no growth hormone. which is, by the way, that's the genetic basis of what's called dwarfism. We're not talking about, I guess there's a difference between midgets. I know there's, PC term is little people, but, there's the people who are proportionate and really small. They never grow. They have
Yes.
childlike bodies. And then there are people who have like very short limbs, but kind of normal torsos. That's a different type of genetic thing. But, there's sort of almost like the leprechaun-like body in, like, The Wizard of Oz,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
the munchkins.
The
But
munchkins.
there's a mouse version of that. And they're really teensy tiny mice. They're like, a third of the size of normal mice who mature to normal size. They live 30% longer.
Wow.
And why that might be is that we are designated by God and nature to have a certain number of cell cycles. And then that's one of the theories of aging is that, you may have, like your hair has a lot of cell cycles, but other organs don't have so many cell cycles for regeneration. They may have, I don't know, a few score, a few dozen, and then they reach a point where game over. They don't replicate anymore. And what growth hormone does is it sort of pushes you through cell cycles more rapidly, which is good initially, but long term, you kind of burn out your cell cycles. The other theoretical concern is that growth hormone, if let's say you have a tiny cancer in your body, which is actually a plausible notion because we now know that many men die, in their 80s. And then if we were to slice and dice them and, do a prostate biopsy post-mortem, we would find a tiny area of prostate cancer that's inconsequential because that's the cancer that would have killed them at 125.
Right.
And it's very slow growing. But growth hormone is a stimulant, and it potentially can increase the risk of cancer. Now, that's not been demonstrated, but anecdotally, I will tell you that I happen to know Bob Guccione, the editor of Penthouse magazine, not because of the girly thing, but because he was also interested in life extension and anti-aging. And with his wife, Kathy Guccione, I was an advisor to Longevity magazine. And what was all the rage in the 80s and 90s was growth hormone. And they both were taking it, and they looked great. But they both developed cancer and died of cancer. Now, this is anecdotal and theoretical, is that anything that's a growth hormone, something that promotes growth hormone. So I'm just saying, like, I no danger because I personally don't think a homeopathic growth hormone does diddly squat. But even were it to be effective, I don't think that it is a good idea to take. Now, you mentioned this. Sometimes there's combination ingredients. Maybe there are other ingredients that are thrown in there that actually help the sleep. I don't know why the cholesterol went up. Cholesterol doesn't generally go up with growth hormone administration, but I will tell you that from one test to another, you could have a big difference in your cholesterol. You have to sort of plot the trajectory of your cholesterol.
Right.
And so he mentioned that his LDL was what, 130?
It went up to 175.
LDL?
LDL went up to 175.
That's very bad. That's very bad.
Yeah.
That's a very high risk for cardiovascular disease.
Yeah. And then it came back down after stopping it.
To what?
He doesn't say to what, but that it went up to 175.
Yeah, well, what I would recommend for this guy, anytime you start looking too closely at your cholesterol, the question is, of what consequence is it? And then I would do an EBT heart scan.
Yeah,
and
this doctor is suggesting that, actually.
Absolutely. Let's get that checked.
Yeah.
Where's this guy from?
He, I believe, is from Israel.
Israel. So high-tech country. They do that kind of scanning and screening. Find out if that cholesterol is consequential because, if you're young, get on something to lower the cholesterol.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's actually 76 years old.
76. Well, one could argue that, when you're 76, it's less consequential because, we're talking 15, 20 years maybe.
Right.
With luck.
Right. these other two numbers will help, Dr. Hoffman. His triglycerides are beautiful at 53,
Right.
and his HDL is a 68.
Okay.
That's all pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's worth asking the question, look, if no way, no how are you going to take a statin or a cholesterol lowering drug, then don't look at your coronary calcification, because it's not going to change your behavior anyway, right?
Right.
Tests are only as good as the behavior, the change that they might engender.
Yeah. And can we also point out, if somebody does have a calcium score and they're put on a statin, which is exactly what happens, but can we talk about, Dr. Hoffman, that the way the statin works is by causing calcification,
right,
which makes it less prone to be a problem
right,
rather than remain as soft plaque?
Well, thank you. That's a good point, because a lot of people will say, what can I do to reverse my plaque?
Yeah.
And make it go away. Like, and we tend to think of the arteries like we think of our sinks, and you put Drano down the sink and it just, or like, call Rotor-Rooter, that's the name, and away go troubles down the drain. Remember that jingle?
Roto-Rooter.
Roto-Rooter, yeah. But that's not how it works. So when you take a statin, this was surprising and paradoxical, is that compared to placebo, people who took statins actually had an acceleration of their coronary artery plaque. So like, oh my God, that's terrible. What it meant was that the soft, vulnerable plaque, the sticky plaque that underlay the calcified plaque, was being sealed off, and you use the beautiful word spackled,
Yeah.
Right. Because, obviously your husband's a GC, a general contractor, so that came to mind for you, right? Spackle. Calcified plaque is thought to generally be more stable. But hey, if you got a ton of calcified plaque, that's an indication of pervasive atherosclerotic disease, and it's not to be ignored.
No, absolutely not. Okay. All right. So, Aitan, thank you very, very much for your question. Okay.
On the other hand, I will say, look, let's explain. Right now, my organization, the Alliance for Natural Health, is engaged in a big legal battle because they're trying to impose restrictions on sale of homeopathic products.
Yeah.
And what they've said is that certain homeopathic products have created harm. All right. Well, what are the homeopathic products that have created harm? Well, there was a case of a teething formula for babies that was said to be homeopathic, and it contained belladonna. And belladonna is relatively toxic. But homeopathic belladonna is highly diluted. And sometimes it's not just 30x, it's 100C. That's 100 times diluted. Or sometimes it's like M, which means 1,000, 1,000 times diluted. So it's very, very diluted. Well, what happened with that product is there was some issues with the manufacturing, and there was actually sizable doses of belladonna put in there. It's not a great drug. It's an atropine-like drug, and atropine is really a nervous system agent. It can cause dry mouth, pupil dilation, all kind of stuff. So that caused harm in infants because infants are especially vulnerable. So they said, well, this is a homeopathic product. Second instance where they cite this is homeopathy is bad is where they had Zicam nasal spray. Remember Zicam nasal? It was like a zinc nasal spray. They said, this is homeopathic zinc. So it was like a kind of a diluted form of zinc. But you put zinc up in your nasal passages directly, and it is an irritant. And actually, some people lost their smell. They developed because it damaged their olfactory nerves because the zinc was too strong. These products were not homeopathic in the classical homeopathic sense, but they used the homeopathic designation to kind of sneak in and make medical claims, because under homeopathic designation, you can kind of quasi-make medical claims. It's an old designation that dates back to the 19th century, and homeopathic medicine was a big thing. But so what we argue in the A&H legal brief to the FDA is that you should not restrict all homeopathic products because classical homeopathic products are eminently safe.
Yes.
I mean, at worst, they're maybe inefficacious, because you could, conventional doctors go, what the heck are you talking about? There's not even hardly a molecule of the active ingredient in there.
Yeah.
And then homeopathic stalwarts will say, yes, but this is energy medicine. We get into that argument. But
Right.
I think classical homeopathic products are safe. But there was this like a little bit of a category creep where they used the homeopathic designation to get some products in that had actually material amounts of, things that are prescription
not true
drugs.
Homeopathy.
Yeah.
Not true
I mean,
homeopathy.
growth hormone's a prescription drug. It's like you can't get growth hormone over the counter, but you can get homeopathic growth hormone over the counter. So kind of exploiting a loophole.
I see.
But first of all, taking it orally, it's not really bioavailable orally under the tongue.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that's why it's injected.
That's interesting. Okay.
So, that's like a long-winded answer about the question, but the question brings up some interesting issues. anh-usa.org if you want to find out about the campaign to keep homeopathic medicine available. I think homeopathic medicine is great because, for a lot of little household emergencies, like a fever or a cold, or, an episode of, nausea or something, using a homeopathic medicine can be helpful.
Yes.
Having a little homeopathic medical kit, especially for your kids, because what are you going to do? You're going to get NyQuil for your kid?
Oh yeah, you don't want that soon.
Your kid's going to be like, in a state of lassitude for 2 days.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you very much for that question, Aitan. All right. We've got an email here from Betsy.
That's a preview to what we're going to do in part 2. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Betsy's asking, I listened to your interview with Neil Levin regarding vitamin K, but there are other doctors that tout the benefits of MK4 rather than MK7, which is K2. What say you about that?
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna tackle that in part 2 because there is capital K confusion about vitamin K. We're going to clear that up. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast.